pod to update you on everything that's happened this week as we kick off Roland Garros. I'm actually recording this whilst watching Wawrinka versus Andy Murray in the first night match of this year's Roland Garros. Wawrinka is a set and a breakup against Andy Murray, but it's actually been relatively competitive today. I'm going to bring you kind of a rundown of the week and then talk a little bit about sort of Roland Garros so far. It's Roland Garros is an interesting slam to talk about, I think, but we're going to get ahead of ourselves here. This week we've had a little bit of sort of some surprise winners and some not so surprise winners for different reasons. We'll start on the ATP side. Your champions were Geneva was won by Casper Ruud. And we have a new champion in the ATP Tour who won the tournament in Lyon. And that is Giovanni Becci Pericard from France, who won the same tournament that Arthur Fils won last year when he broke through. Apologies for the pronunciation of the name. I will hopefully get it correct in the future if I did, in fact, pronounce it incorrectly. Lots to unpack there. Pericard's win was against Thomas Echeverry in the final, which was actually a very nervy match that went right down to the wire. Really, really good win from Becci Pericard in that match. Ruud actually had to beat Thomas Machac in the final because Machac beat Djokovic in the semi-finals. Which was an interesting development and once again continues to raise questions over Djokovic's form going into Roland Garros, which I will talk about a little bit. On the women's side, the WTA 500 in Strasbourg was won by Madison Keys in an All-American final against Danielle Collins. Collins was probably the favourite going into that, but Keys has kind of shown that maybe she's arriving to Roland Garros on the same kind of level as Collins, as kind of the leading contenders outside the top four seeds. And then the women's tournament was won by Peyton Stearns, the women's event in Rabat in Morocco. Stearns actually came from love 5 down and match point in the deciding set against Lucia Bronzetti in the quarterfinals, came for a breakdown in the deciding set in the semi-final as well, and then breezed her way to the title in the final. And frankly, she's looking very, very confident. So confident that she's quite happily posting pictures of herself doing handstands in Paris or around Rabat. And frankly, look, let's face it, if you've got the core strength, you may as well flaunt it. But yeah, Stearns now probably one of the names to watch at Roland Garros this year. And you're probably thinking, Nick, what are you talking about? What is Roland Garros? I mean the French Open. Force of habit, as someone who's a hardcore tennis fan, we refer to the French Open as Roland Garros. It's kind of what the established tennis community calls it, because that's where it is. Roland Garros is the site where the French Open is held in Paris. Roland Garros was actually a well-known aviator from around the early 20th century. And so when they built this site in the 1920s originally, they named it in his honour. Fun fact, this site was actually built as a stadium to host the Davis Cup in, because at the time France had an all-conquering team that was frankly destroying everyone. Imagine if Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner and Holger Rune were all from the same country. This is the level we are talking about back then. And so the site's expanded ever since to kind of be a full-on Grand Slam site you come to expect from in Melbourne, London and New York. Visiting Paris, I've never been. So this is your early call here in this mini-pod. If you want to tell us a little bit about your experience of visiting Roland Garros, please do. We'd love to hear stories so we can share with people who might be thinking about going what it's like. You know, I listen to Radio Roland Garros when I'm at work during the French Open, and they have a sort of a very sort of set view of Paris, the kind of what you portray as like. It's like what you would expect from a holiday in Paris. You have great food, sunshine and tennis when it's the French Open. So it's almost marketed as you could market it as a ideal Parisian holiday if you are a tennis fan. Obviously, the Paris Masters at the end of the year might like a word, but to be honest, if you're going to go for the tennis, if you can make it to Roland Garros, that is, that's going to be the one to go to. So far on day one, we've had quite a few interesting matches. Nothing like super blockbuster yet. Super eye-catching was Richard Gasquet winning in straight sets against Borna Coric in what was quite a big name clash. And I think what was interesting there was Gasquet actually winning it with his signature one-handed backhand up the line. Great moment for the aging Frenchman. He's 38, I think. This is his 21st French Open. And he is really he's not kind of in the same position as Murray, who's looking like stopping. He's more like a Wawrinka, who's keeping things going a little bit longer. But sort of any heroics that the French get out of this are always noteworthy. Other results, Jack Draper losing in 5 sets. Hubert Hurkacz had a bit of a scare. He had to go 5 sets. We've just lost Barbora Krejcikova, the 2021 champion. Hugo Humbert is out, straight out the gate. French number 1, gone. Fortunately, there's other French heroes to support, but you get the feeling that maybe the aging heroes are the ones who are really going to get the crowd behind them. I wouldn't be surprised if Wimbledon had the same thing with Andy Murray when that comes around. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at the minute. Unfortunately, we're recording on day one. There's not a lot of other kind of news to bring you. The French Open tends to start on a Sunday. It's a 15-day tournament, but they don't tend to put like the big names, the big names on court. I think when Anastasia and I come to record on Wednesday for our sort of mini pod update, we're going to be talking to you a lot about the more bigger match of the day that are mainly going to be happening on Monday, starting with Zverev and Nadal. That is the big clash that we're going to be talking about. So I think with that, obviously you're thinking, hang on a minute, Zverev and Nadal fighting in the first round? Yes, so if you can watch it, do. Hopefully this will come out in time for you to catch it. I believe if things go according to schedule, which does depend on the 2 women's matches that precede it, it should start around 4 p.m. Paris time, which would be 3 p.m. UK time. So if you're in Eastern time, you're talking 10 a.m. Eastern time, which is where Anastasia is. So something to wake up for. It's a public holiday in the UK, so I'll be sitting back and enjoying that. But yeah, quick. That's a very, very quick rundown of everything, kind of what's happening at the minute. I'm looking forward to all the stories that Clay gives us. I think the fact we've had so many good matches today, and it's noteworthy matches, tight matches, is exactly the sort of scenario that Clay gives us, particularly Roland Garros. It's 5 sets. It is an endurance sport, and it very much benefits the fighters out there. And that's what gives us so many entertaining matches and long ones as well. I think we'll be having tennis late into the night for many, many nights to come. Which, will probably be a good thing for everyone watching around the world. And hopefully you'll enjoy the updates that Anastasia and I bring you. Keep an eye on the podcast feed for all things Grand Pass. So yeah, Anastasia and I will be back soon to talk about what's happening in the opening rounds of Roland Garros proper. But until then, I will love you and leave you. Looking forward to hearing any stories that you can send us. This is Nick, signing off.